All right, welcome everybody. Day 5, indicator 5, and maybe the most important, or at least it's 1/10 of importance, but really this might be the most important because none of the other 9 are possible, I think, Lauren, without real extreme focus and intentionality around this one. Because if your school culture isn't positive and conducive for learning and growing, nothing grows in toxic soil, right? It'll just rot and die. So if this is your first session with us, this is number 5. So go ahead and listen to this, but you can go back and listen to the other 4 days. I'm Dr. Tom Miller, and with me is my teammate, Lauren Waters. And so we are going through the 10 indicators of high performing charter schools. And don't fret, everybody, if you're not a charter school leader, it's okay, because these indicators are relevant to all schools and really to all organizations. Now that I really kind of think about it, you could actually take any organization and take our 10 indicators of high performance assessment and line it up to whatever job that you may have, right, Lauren?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this so this number 5, right? So we've already talked about mission, why we exist, vision, where are we going, our goals, our strategy, right? How to oversee those strategies, how to invest and develop people. But you can't really do any of those, again, if your culture is toxic. And I've worked in toxic environments. I'm pretty sure you've worked in some toxic environments. I know I've been in toxic environments as a consultant, having to go into organizations that are really filled with lack of trust and positive relationships. And it's really hard to get anything done because culture truly is this invisible force. I mean, you can't always see it, but you can always feel it, right? It's like thick. It's like
Absolutely.
trying to wade through, yeah. And really, it's, because, my mentor, John Maxwell, he describes culture as not what we say, right? It's the sum of the actions of the people. So if you've heard someone say, well, that's how we do it around here, I mean, that's culture, right? Or if you've got, if you've taken the DISCA profile and you're a C style, right? So you're all about rules and processes that are written out, and someone's doing something else, you're like, well, that's not, following the rules. Well, that's what we've always done, right? So like it's more than words on paper. It is actions, it's beliefs, it's how we respond, how we treat each other. It's a really, really critical aspect because no one can learn in an environment that they don't feel valued. No one wants to come, and they're not going to celebrate an organization that doesn't align to what they want to do. So Lauren, can you pop up the substandards?
Yes.
And so now what we have found though is that this is one of our highest performing self-assessment scores, so 73 percent. And so what I want to make sure is that's great that you have these components in place, right? A high healthy school culture is clearly defined and communicated, right? So this means that there's maybe rules in place, or maybe you've adopted core values of what they are, and you've got training programs around character education. And when I was a teacher, it was second step. I don't know, I mean, Lauren, you're much younger than I am, so I don't know if they had things like second step, but there's a lot of character education programs out there and available. There's Cubby's programs, and all sorts of things, lots of stuff out there, right? But what is most important is what is clearly defined and communicated. Is that actually happening, right? Because remember, culture is not words, it's action. It's how people make decisions in an organization is based upon the culture, not what's based upon what's written down.
Yeah. I just was going to add, you can have the right program in place and you can be defining it and communicating it, but you can still not feel it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you're not really sure like what to do, right? Because well, I'm modeling it, but it really takes other people to also buy in and to model it, right? Because you can have these I think one of the best books on culture is School Culture Rewired, and in the book, Todd Whitaker talks about these. I think there's six or seven substandards of a culture. So you can have, a culture that's, a balkanized. It's like, in one part of your school, it's great, and in another hallway, it's not, right? And it's not because the words on the wall are any different in one hallway or another. It's because the people are totally different. And that's really what causes, culture is, certain people. And I think in the book we talk about how it's like a home court advantage for certain people, right? And
Mhm.
I had no idea as an early school principal about culture. I just assumed that people come to work and they do their job, right, Lauren? Like,
Right.
would it just be easier if everybody just, treated everybody nice and was kind and just, followed all the rules and expectations, right? I didn't realize it was this invisible force that was impacting everything I tried as
Yeah.
as a school leader.
I was just going to add, although, you talk about that invisible force, there's lots of clues that invisible force can leave behind for you to make sure you're keeping an eye on. What is your student attrition rate? What is your teacher retention rate? All of those numbers should be lining up with this 10 indicate, your how you've ranked yourself here. If you're ranking really high, but your staff and students are leaving every year, something's not in alignment there.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. It's like when we do, like a workshop, I'll say, "Hey, we're going to say lots of things that you already know." And I don't want you to say I know that. I want you to say, "How well do we do that?" And that's exactly where, if you've got, the book and you've read through the chapter and you started to look through these 7 steps to designing a high performing school culture, right? That first step is to see it. Like you have to be able to see what it is you want, right? So like I talk about this, spend a day as a guest in your school, follow students, right? Like what are they experiencing? What are they doing? And does it line up to what you see and what you feel you've communicated vision wise? Or if it's nowhere where you want, you may need to go visit a high performing school and walk those hallways and follow those, kids around and just really get an idea of okay, this is what we want, people to feel and do and experience when they come to our school or when they call our school or when they're trying to find a spot in the parking lot. Like all these things matter. Everything matters. So you see it and then you define it. This is where you actually write it down. And Lauren, let me share, unless you've got it up here, that my first experience with seeing something written down was when I first joined the John Maxwell team 10 years ago. This is the Maxwell DNA culture, and you know each word has a definition, right? So the M is model consistency, and John, every single year when we go to our annual or our biannual leadership training, he reteaches each letter of the Maxwell DNA culture. And not only does he teach it and define it, right? John models it, but we also celebrate it through someone on our team. So there's over 40,000 members now, right? But you can nominate individuals for this. So this is a way to celebrate your culture. And maybe you have something similar at your school. You may have, here at, my school, we have the Seaside Way, and we have each one of our core value words has a definition, and we talk about that and we celebrate students and their behavior around it. So that's one way that you could start to demonstrate your culture. Is I've seen it, I've defined it, right? I teach it through maybe workshops or during the school day. And here at Seaside, our students actually teach it. Like all of our middle school students, we have house leaders, and they take the time. And every Wednesday for 30 minutes, it's a short house meeting, they call it, and they teach one of the core values. So what a great way to really make sure that it's resonating inside, right out. So they see it, define it, teach it, model it, practice it, measure it, and celebrate it. And Lauren's already talked about the measuring piece, right? If your attrition is high, if people don't stay with you very long, if you're not getting volunteers. I mean, Lauren, we've even gone, as we talk about in our like our all the different pieces of data. I know one of the pieces of data we've talked about for culture is benefits. Are your new employees or current employees, are they taking advantage of all the benefits you offer? Because if they are, that means that they're going to stick with you and they like it here and they want to be here. But if nobody's signing up for all those extra benefits, that's a sure sign. And you said earlier, right? I can walk into a school, it doesn't take me very long. And we've worked with many benefits providers that we trust, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, I know as soon as I walk into a school whether or not I'm going to be walking out of there with a lot of benefits. I can just tell by the actions and the behaviors of the people."
Yeah.
Yeah. So all those steps are in the book. Get a copy of the book. You can go to 10indicators.com, right? And get a copy of the book. If you don't have a school climate survey, we have one, and we can help you deploy it to your stakeholders, which would give you some really good baseline data. If you don't have set core values, we have a core values kit that you can grab and start to create those core values at your school, so you can go through that 7-step process and really start living out these pieces. And I just love, just like the innovative ways. And I'm going to do a shout out to one of our partnership schools, Brevard Academy, and Ted Duncan. And so he put their core values. They went through the exercise, and I'm actually wearing it here. Let's see if I can get to, but it's the BA DNA, and their core values are integrity, growth, creativity, and teamwork. So that's what they talk about. That's what they celebrate, right? That's what they model, and all those pieces. So that's just one way. So it's up on their walls. It's on their wrists. It's what they share, and then I can hold people accountable to. It's like, oh, that's what you did there. That doesn't celebrate our core value of teamwork, right? And this is what does. It's just really important to have really tangible conversations around these words. Lauren, any other thoughts around culture? I know there's some other sub indicators here, and spend a lot of time on that one.
No, I just wanted to point out that, I know this can sometimes feel a little overwhelming for school leaders, like, oh, there's 10 indicators and each indicator has all these sub indicators, but the book really has just done a great job of outlining high performance strategies that you can quickly take and implement into your school. And it breaks everything down so nicely. And so I just wanted to share that with everybody, that the book isn't just giving you, the knowledge that you need, but it's providing you with some action steps and strategies on how you can improve your school today.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, because the biggest gap we have in life is the gap between what we know and what we do. And what we try to do is create the book is like, hey, here's information, here's what it means, and here's what you
Mhm.
can do, right? It's actual action steps. It's actionable for you to do that. And if you need more, then our programs coming out of the book will help you. Our strategic planning made simple program will help you. And our high performance coaching programs will help you. So everything around what we tie in to this book, it's not just words that we've read or heard from someone else. It's what we actually do as school leaders. So thank you for that. So all right, so that's 5. So what is your wheel starting to look like? I'm really excited, people. Lauren, can you put the wheel up? Let's just look at, right? So your wheel, the whole goal here, if you've done every indicator, all 5, you should have half of your wheel complete. And so you can start to see, okay, where's my wheel maybe a little unbalanced? And 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 so from like an average standpoint, we've got high 4 and 4 for indicators 1 and 2, and then we drop down to a 3 for the next 2. So we hit a flat spot around the people, but then we pop back out, right? So if you could imagine if this was a wheel, like we're up, we fall, and then we need to get some momentum to be able to get that culture piece over top. And then So next one, we're going to be talking about our parent and stakeholder partnerships, which is another area of growth that we have found based upon the people who have taken this. So make sure you tune in tomorrow for the next indicator in our 10-day challenge.